What is up, guys? We have another video for you guys talking about the Batman DC Fandome's panel on the Batman. They had not just a conversation with Matt Reeves, but also a teaser trailer for the movie. Even though Matt Reeves says the movie has only been about 20 to 35% complete in terms of all the shooting they did, they still found a way to put together some footage. The footage is impressive. We'll get to that in a moment. Let me first introduce you guys to my guests here on this video. Of course, we got Shamari and Kendall Stewart. I'll go to Shamari first, man. So you got to see this panel. I thought Matt Reeves was very. I thought his answers were very thoughtful in terms of the questions he was asked. And then, what did you think of the footage? I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, the footage was very impressive. And Matt Reeves, his thought process was very impressive also. Which a lot of what he said we had talked about on our podcast, because we had been following his comments for a long time. So we were familiar with a lot of his thought process leading up to this panel. So a lot of it was him reiterating what we had talked about for a long time. But the footage was, I think it's by far probably the most grounded in terms of the Batman worlds that we've seen.
Very gritty,
very street level.
Yeah.
Hyper realistic. Probably not. It's like somewhere between like the Nolan Batman and and Joker. I think it's somewhere in between there. Because Joker was just the world.
Yeah, it was real life.
Yeah, it was real life.
Yeah.
And Nolan was kind of probably the most real Batman we had gotten up to that point. And the Batfleck, we didn't even really get a world with him. It was just a little glimpse of Gotham for the most part. But the footage was incredible. I mean, I thought the action was great. The little action that we got in there, it seems very, very kind of like what he was saying, where they're tracking crimes. It seems like Batman and Gordon and the GCPD are tracking a serial killer.
Yeah.
Batman seems to be the almost like a target almost, or it's almost like a fascination that the killer has with Batman.
Yeah, he's at the very least the inspiration for the killings.
Yeah, and we know that the Riddler is going to play some kind of role too, with how the with the clues and then the question marks in the whole 2021 tease at the end. So it was very impressive. And it's funny because Kendall had kind of alluded to before we started shooting the Batman animated show.
Yes.
Legendary show. I love this show. Don't get me started on Batman. And it kind of makes me think of that show in terms of the time period of where Batman is, because he talks about how that time period wasn't really covered in film, which I agree with. I feel like on screen in general, the Batman is probably the closest to that, because he's fairly new still at being Batman.
Yeah.
But he's not. It's not an origin.
Right. Exactly.
He's just young. He's just young, and he's a new phenomenon.
Right.
And he's getting to know this rogues gallery of villains. So I'm really excited to see what this movie has to show us.
Yeah. I was impressed with this panel. A lot of things I like, some things, a little didn't like as much. But first of all, I thought the star of this panel was Michael Giacchino, and that score, man, that theme is incredible. But
very good.
Yeah, man. But it's like Wonder Woman, like that, and Wonder Woman, like they've got two hits in terms of their theme songs with DC. Yeah, I mean, I thought Matt Reeves had a lot of good things to say. I thought the panel was a little long. It didn't have to be half hour. Like I was soaking it.
I loved it. They could have gave me another half hour.
Yeah, I could have another hour. What I think could have improved, I think they could have had more of the cast members.
Yeah, I think that would help.
Like Reeves just going for 25 minutes was like a little repetitive. You feel like you're kind of saying the same stuff. It was good, and he definitely gave us a glimpse into what kind of Batman, what kind of world we're going to be seeing. I thought it was interesting how he was talking about how this is a kind of a young new Catwoman, a young new Riddler, Penguin, kind of give you a Gotham vibe a little bit with these guys as rookie villains as well. I mean, that's going to be exciting, but I think obviously the trailer was definitely interesting. I love the Batman costume. I mean, that Batman costume was really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
They,
I agree.
yeah, they did a very good job with the costume. I thought Jeffrey Wright looked good as Jim Gordon.
Yeah,
He really pulled off that look. I'm not sure about the Pattinson Bruce Wayne look. Definitely looks kind of odd. I don't know, maybe it's just the long hair. I'm not used to it.
Getting used to it, probably.
Yeah, I'm like, is that Harry Potter? Like, looks like he's being Green Day or something.
I guess the way I interpret it is if this is Bruce just maybe coming back from wherever he's been, this is only his second year in Gotham, maybe he's still kind of working into his like billionaire CEO persona, right. So he might not be there yet.
Awkward, yeah.
Right, so he might. So like I kind of agree. I thought he was kind of an odd-looking Bruce Wayne, but I kind of thought, well, Bruce Wayne was disappeared for however many years and then came back out of nowhere.
Almost like an Oliver Queen situation.
Right, like it may be he's not like as polished as just like he's got to get more polished as Batman. He also might not be as polished as Bruce Wayne. So I think that it's both. It's twofold.
Yeah, so I mean that was a little odd. I do like when he's under the suit how he has like the face paint. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it was pretty
cool. That's something new. So what are you doing? You're doing like the 20th version of Batman. Like it's definitely important to add things that are cool and new. And I think Reeves has definitely tried to do that. So I mean, I certainly like this panel. There's a lot of good things with it. And I'm excited for this movie.
Yeah, I thought that this was an awesome panel. I was so excited. I did not expect this to be the format where it was just, Aisha Tyler. I thought, obviously they were giving her the questions, but still did a really good job of asking, Reeves important questions. They picked some good questions from the fans. And like I said, I thought Reeves was really forthright in, like, his inspirations behind this film. What about this film was important. I thought it was important that he said that we've talked about it on the show before, and he's mentioned it in the past, but how Batman being the world's greatest detective is, in his words, essential to this plot. And I think when you see the trailer, it's very clear that, yes, this is the whole story is centered around a mystery that he's having trouble to solve. I mean, to me, I don't know, who else will be involved with these killings, but to me, this set up the Riddler as pretty much the main villain. Of course, there could be some kind of misdirect. Now I'm almost certain there will be, just because of the nature of the movie. But to me, like, he kind of comes front and center as like
the first act certainly suggests that like it'll be like early on, like the Riddler will make himself.
Yeah, because all of those notes he was getting and stuff, a lot of it was in green. Riddler. There were question marks. There were riddles in them. So
rhyming,
yeah, they were rhyming. So it was like, okay. And he said that, Paul Dano, this is going to be a performance and a Riddler unlike anything we've seen. And, we saw a little bit of him with the tape, and I've never seen the Riddler look like that. So I don't know what really to expect, but that is exciting. He also noted that for this Zoe Kravitz, Selena Kyle, that this isn't Catwoman. I know you guys said earlier that, this is like Catwoman's rookie. This is actually, he said in his words, this is Selena Kyle before she even becomes Catwoman. We see her, trying to break in some safe, so clearly she's into the cat burgling, but she doesn't have a sophisticated suit or anything like that.
Yeah, she's wearing some mask. Yeah,
she's wearing a mask. It looks like it's like knitted, even. Like, it looks like it's some kind of cloth. It's not even like it's nothing very sophisticated. And I get the impression that might be the first showdown you see between her and Bruce when Pattinson's Batman pulls up on her, and I'm excited for that battle. But boy, that little cut of Batman beating the crap out of that goon who tried to step to him, hitting him with the 20 hit combo, perfect. That was a perfect, flawless victory. I mean, that was awesome. Like, what a way! And we've talked about in this movie, and in this trailer, kind of showed me the same stuff where, we do have questions about, because he's gonna lean so much into the mystery part about this, into the noir part of this. Is Matt Reeves going to be capable of also showing Batman, the crime fighter, and Batman, the hand-to-hand combat guy? And I don't know how much we're going to get of that, but I think like that little bit we saw, I think is going to be kind of ways he's going to try to tell the audience, this is a guy you don't mess with. Like, yeah, a lot of this is him chasing around, and trying to find this mystery. But when he's pressed and someone even dares try to step to him, this is what's going to happen to them they're not a real fighter or know what they're doing. So that was to me like one of the obvious like OMG like moments of the trailer. I enjoyed. Colin Farrell doesn't even look like Colin Farrell.
He doesn't even look like him.
I don't know how. I don't know if he gained the weight or if they did prosthetics, but I mean, I'm excited to see where his character goes. I heard Reeves, kind of say that while this is not a Batman origin, he kind of does look at this as an origin for pretty much all of the Rose Gallery. He calls him a Rose Gallery, and that to me is interesting kind of way to look at this. He says, Cobblepot, yes, he's the Penguin, but he doesn't really like the name Penguin, and he's not this criminal mastermind. So how these characters kind of grow with this new Batman figure is gonna be cool to see. And again, I thought Reeves was super thoughtful. I liked how he explained what year 2 meant, not just for Bruce and him trying to figure out how he's gonna make this whole Batman thing work and how he can have the impact he wants, because he says he's not having the impact he wants, and these murders kind of illustrate that like something really isn't going as he had planned. And I think that, but also how he says the people are reacting to him, and this being in his year 2, and they're still kind of, they know he's out there. There's a lot of evidence that he's out there, but like because he's some guy in a bat suit beating the crap out of people, like he's not the symbol of hope that we know Batman to be for Gotham City. And that's also a part of the story for Batman in other movies we've seen that we really haven't gotten to yet. I felt like the Burton Batmans, Batman's very much like a man of the people, until like Penguin turns on him, turns the people on him in Batman Returns. Nolan Batman, we don't really ever get to that point where like the people have to make a point or say about what they think of Batman to me in the first movie. So, and we don't know anything about really the Affleck Batman. So, I think that they're being very smart with how they're approaching this. I dug this panel. I dug the conversation and the trailer, man. Batmobile looks great. Suit looks good. This is exciting stuff. I don't know. Any last thoughts on this, guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just very excited. I'm also excited for the show. He talked a little bit about the show.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's another exciting project. I mean, from what we've seen from the movie, the show looks like it's going to be pretty good, too.
Yeah, it was fascinating, actually, to listen to in an earlier panel, the Multiverse 101 panel, them talk about, like, Walter Amada described, HBO Max is kind of, in between the TV and the movie universe, how there's movie content on there, but also TV content, and how that's a place where they can kind of converge and maybe mix as one. And I'm like, seems like an interesting ideal, and this is one of the examples of how the movie industry, the DC Films division rather, will kind of impact HBO Max.
Yeah, exactly. And and then the idea also that the Gotham PD series, which is the series we're talking about, that'll be on HBO Max, how it centers around the corruption in Gotham City, and Reeves spoke about how that corruption is at the core of everything involved with this movie, and that Batman, through his search for this killer and trying to solve this murder mystery, realizes how much of it is centered around the corruption in Gotham City that he's been unable to really even put a dent into, and that he now realizes dates back to his parents. And the GCPD show on HBO Max will apparently center around the same thing, and it's going to be year 1 Batman. So we'll ask the question, where will it be? Will it be current time? Will it be past time? It's kind of hard to do a current time series when you're making movies, because movies come out kind of in a 2 to 3 year intervals. I think going back just 1 year, I think, is actually a really good idea, and I'm excited for that project too. I think that Hamada giving Reeves that playground to expand this Batman universe. The way I kind of envision it is like the stuff we're seeing with Wonder Woman, Black Adam, and all that stuff. That's kind of like the continuity playground for where heroes can cross over. But I think like the Batman universe and what they were doing on HBO Max with the Batman, that's going to be just like growing just the Gotham City universe and really flushing that out and in a way that we haven't seen before. So, I mean, I'm all for it. So, I mean, I think that's going to be where we're going to wrap this video, guys. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, make sure you check out our podcast, New Generation Podcast Network. You can find that on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn. We do New Generation Hero Talk, where we talk about all these superhero movies, all superhero television news every single week. So make sure you check that out. Again, New Generation Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, and TuneIn. Also, make sure you check us out on our social media. So you got at New Generation Pod on Twitter, New Generation Podcast on Instagram. And I'm on Twitter, EJ_Stewart, Action EJ on Instagram. Shamari's on Instagram and Snapchat, MCSham22. That does it for this video. For Shamari, for Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys.